and thanks for watching ECTV. I'm here today with Brendan Cronin, hospitality professor and author of a new book titled Cheffin, From Potatoes to Caviar. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. So to start from the very beginning, what inspired you to write Cheffin?
Well, it goes back to my childhood, growing up on a small dairy farm in the west of Ireland, and my mother encouraged me to be a chef, which was a very unseemly job for a man in the middle of the last century almost. And after my travels around the world and obviously going on to train and the different hotels and all that, I met with my mother one day and she said, you know, you should think about writing a book about your travels and your experiences in the different countries that you worked in.
As you were going through the writing process, what was the most difficult part?
I think trying to articulate the thoughts in my mind and putting them in the right order, starting off in childhood and giving the book a flow. Fortunately, I had a very good editor, Tom, who helped me tremendously along the way, and I was able to get a finished product in just over 6 months.
Thinking back over writing the book, what was your favorite chapter or story or quote from the book?
I think there's probably two parts to that. My childhood, which is the first two chapters of the book, was my childhood and chef's training. And there are a lot of fond memories there with the people who, many of them now have died and passed on. And of course, memories of my mother, who is still alive and well today. And then the second part was when I moved to Switzerland in chapter 3. I was just exposed to a completely different selection of foods, flavors, a new way of eating, a whole different culture with food. And I think that is probably one of the fondest chapters I have.
Okay. Do you have any plans to write another book in the future? And if so, what would it be about?
I do. I've already started on my second book. All in all, it's a trilogy of 3 books. First is written, it's out. Second one is coming along, and it will document a later stage in my life, my continued travels, and of course, being in America will be a big part of it, as will Endicott.
How has your life changed since you came to Endicott? You know, what can we expect from the next chapter in the trilogy?
I think definitely adapting to America. Many people think America's an English-speaking country. I'll go there, I'll fit in. But America has its culture like every other country, and it has a variety of cultures actually. If you take the Southwest and the Northeast, almost two different countries. Our adaptation to that, how our children adapted, how my wife adapted. Again, just another segment on our travels.
So moving on to your culinary experience, who is your favorite chef?
I think I have a few. Thomas Keller, definitely a very, very talented chef out in Napa, and Wolfgang Puck. And I admire these two because of their creativity and their ability to drive large organizations, which is their own company, in multiple restaurants on the East and the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. If you could work or eat at any restaurant in the world, where would it be?
Well, I don't know if the restaurant exists anymore, but in Hong Kong, and I document this in one of the chapters, we had a very memorable meal. You know, those meals that you have that you'll remember all your life. And I would love to go back there and eat again. And the chef is still in Hong Kong, Greg Kuntz. I think meals sometimes are not only about the food that you eat, but also about the ambience and the atmosphere that was around it and where you are at the time, and just as importantly, who you were with.
Mm-hmm. And if you could look back to a favorite meal that you've had in the past, what would that be? I
would have to say one memorable day down on the shores of Lake Geneva in a little town called Saint-Saphorin, which is very famous for its white wine. And I had a very memorable meal there with my then girlfriend, now wife, Christine. And we had this meal together, and I was flying back out to the Far East, and she was staying in Switzerland, and we didn't know if we were going to see each other again. So I have great memories of that meal. And of course, it was fresh fish from the lake.
Do you like to watch any cooking shows on TV?
I'm selective about what I watch because it is reality TV, it is edited, it's filmed for dramatic effects. So you cannot really, as a chef, I don't think you can take it and put it into a context of a restaurant. That wouldn't fly. There's a lot of cooking techniques that get waylaid, if you like, and not practiced correctly. And in some cases, I admire the participants on the show, and they're thrown into situations that most likely a professional chef wouldn't be put into. And then the audience sits back and watches them sweat. So I have mixed feelings about reality TV shows, but I do like to watch now and again. And the reason being, if the customers coming to our restaurant are watching the TV shows, they're getting their ideas there on what food should look like. So it makes sense that I should also be watching them so I can match their expectations with the students together when they come to La Chanterelle, for example.
So where do you gain inspiration these days for new recipes or cooking techniques?
I think the internet plays a large role. If you can't beat them, join them. I look at a lot of recipes on the internet. It's an encyclopedia, and it changes. And the great thing is it provides pictures. And whether it's a home cook or a professional chef, I think the internet provides a tremendous insight into not only how food is cooked, but how it's prepared and where it's sourced, which is a big it's a big issue today, where people are worried, where does my food actually come from? And it should get more and more attention, because the food that's grown today in the world does not resemble the food that we eat as children. I'm speaking for my generation.
When you were a child, did you ever foresee where the whole food industry would end up? Here we are today with more processed foods, and with the internet having such an impact on the way we eat food and how we think about it.
No, I couldn't. I don't think I could have foreseen that. I don't even think my parents could have foreseen it. We grew up on a small farm. We ate most of what was on the farm. We planted, we harvested, and then we had chickens, ducks, geese, and all of that ended up on the kitchen table. And to see today that we go to the supermarket and buy spinach that was grown 3,000 miles away and not at the local farm is mind-boggling, really, to think of the multitude of organizations that are behind providing the food. Just alone in America, for over 300 million people, it's a tremendous effort, and it needs guidance. In some cases, it's a little bit out of control.
So when you think back over your life, who have been some of your biggest culinary inspirations?
Well, the first time I went to, actually I should go back. Before I left for Switzerland, we left Ireland in the 70s, I met a chef who really coached me and inspired me to go to the continent. And you have to think that Ireland is an island in the Atlantic, very far removed from Europe, if you like, culturally, linguistically, geographically. And most Irish people, when they left immigration, which is something that continues to this day, they went to English-speaking countries. So Canada, America being the favorite, Australia, New Zealand. But I went to Switzerland, which obviously required that I learn a language, and it wasn't a favorite for the Irish. So he coached me and really got me to apply for some jobs in Switzerland. So I'm indebted to him, because when I look back, if I never left Ireland, all the doors that would have opened for me, I would have never come across them. Mm-hmm. So there was the chef in Limerick, in the Intercontinental Hotel in Limerick. And then when I got to Switzerland, I met Hermann, who was German, and he was a master chef. And that inspired me to think that perhaps maybe one day I could also go on and do my master chef certification, which I did many years later. So he inspired me as well. What
has been the response from your culinary inspirations over this book that they're now in?
Well, I have some recipes in the book, and I feel that I had no idea, I must say, when I wrote the book, and I wrote the book to be a memoir of sorts, a story of my life, and I had no idea that I would get the response that I've gotten. I just recently got an email from a reader in Sydney, Australia, telling me how much she loved the book, and in particular how she liked the description of the hotel in Singapore, because she stays there on her trip to Singapore every year. And that now she was able to visualize what behind the scenes looked like, and thanked me for that. That was tremendous, to get an email from halfway around the world, actually the other way around the world, complimenting me on the book.
And what role has the internet played in getting feedback for your book?
It's been primordial. The internet has given, I'm very fortunate, I've got a lot of very good reviews on Amazon. I get a lot of emails from people who are reading the book in different places. I got one from Tahiti, above all places, downloaded on the internet. And I've gotten emails from various countries in Europe, here in the United States and Canada and Brazil.
So where can readers purchase Cheffin?
Well, we're here on the Endicott College campus, and of course, the Endicott College bookstore would be the first stop. Readers there can pick up a paperback copy. It's available also on Amazon.com in many different countries, including obviously the United States, Canada, Brazil, Spain, France, Italy, Germany, the UK, and India. And also available through my website at brendancroninbooks.com. And also the Kindle version is available in literally worldwide.
And can readers find you on YouTube as well?
They can. I have a channel on YouTube where I do a series of how-to, very short videos, a minute, minute and a half, maximum 2 minutes, with a little cooking tip or a little trick from the book.
So what do you want readers to take away after having read Cheffin?
Well, that's a very good question. If just having a look at the cover of the book, and obviously it's cooking related, and the chef on the cover and the potatoes and the caviar, which symbolizes my growing up on the farm in Ireland picking potatoes, and then ending up later on in my professional career serving caviar to the elites of the world in top hotels. And to look at the book, you know, everybody has a story. All we have to do is look at Steve Hartman every Friday on CBS News, and he finds a story in everybody. And I think every chef has a story, as well as everybody has a story, so particularly chefs with all that they go through and the creative process. And what I would like readers to take away from it is to not be afraid to experiment with the food and use small quantities in their home kitchen, try the recipe, try mixing some seasonings together, come up with a seasoning blend that fits you and your style, and then invite your friends and present your platter, present your dish as if you are a top chef, and build on that. And I think that I'm hoping that the book will inspire culinary students to persevere, use their creative talents, and whether those students be traditional or non-traditional students, whether they be at the Cordon Bleu or the Culinary Institute of America, I think that my story will inspire them to continue and go on to become success in their chosen career.
I'd like to thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.